The grand marble foyer of the Karim estate was usually silent, a place where echoes of laughter and footsteps faded quickly into the opulent stillness. But today, September 28, 2025, was different. The air felt heavier, as if the walls themselves were bracing for something momentous. Mr. Karim, a man whose name was synonymous with wealth and power, had come home early, eager to surprise his family after a billion-dollar deal closed ahead of schedule. He imagined the joy on their faces, the pride in his daughter's eyes. But as he walked through the gleaming halls, a faint muffled sob stopped him in his tracks. It was a sound so out of place in this palace of perfection that it sent a chill down his spine. The sound came from Aisha's room, his beloved daughter, crying as if her world was ending. Her pain was raw, echoing through the silence. Dread washed over him. He had built an empire to protect her, to shield her from every imaginable harm, yet something was terribly wrong, something he had never foreseen. Peeking through the slightly ajar door, his blood ran cold. The scene before him was one he could never have imagined in his worst nightmares. He saw his second wife, Nadia, standing over Aisha, who was on the floor, shoulders shaking with uncontrollable sobs. The power dynamic was unmistakable, Nadia towering, Aisha crumpled and small. Nadia's face, usually so full of smiles and charm, was now twisted with cruelty and anger, a side of her he had never truly seen. "You are worthless," Nadia hissed, her voice sharp as a blade. "Your father only keeps you out of pity. You're a reminder of his past failure." The words hung in the air, poisonous and heavy. Each word was a dagger. Karim felt everyone as if they were aimed at his own heart. He had never imagined his home could harbor such venom. He watched in horror as Nadia grabbed Aisha's favorite teddy bear, a cherished gift from her late mother, and hurled it across the room. The soft toy hit the wall and fell to the floor, a symbol of innocence shattered. "Tears won't help you," Nadia sneered, her voice cold and unyielding. "Clean this mess and don't tell your father." The threat was clear, the fear in Aisha's eyes unmistakable. Karim backed away, mind reeling, heart pounding in his chest. The foundation of his world was shaking beneath him. The silence of his home had been a lie, a mask hiding pain and cruelty he had been blind to for far too long. The world he'd built to protect his daughter was crumbling before his eyes, every marble tile and golden fixture now a reminder of his failure to see the truth. He realized in that moment, nothing would ever be the same. The life he thought he knew was gone, replaced by a painful new reality he could no longer ignore. Karim stumbled into the hallway, his mind a storm of confusion and rage. He couldn't just confront Nadia. She'd deny everything, twist the story, and charm everyone as she always did. How long had this been happening? He recalled Aisha's recent silence, her fading laughter, and the way she flinched at the dinner table. Nadia always had an excuse. "It's just a phase. She's moody." Karim realized he'd been blind, too busy building his empire to see his daughter's suffering. The guilt was crushing. He remembered Aisha spilling water at dinner. Nadia laughed it off, but Aisha's eyes were full of terror. The signs had been there, hidden behind Nadia's perfect public mask. Nadia was the doting wife in public, but a tormentor in private. Karim's wealth had created a fortress, and a prison for his daughter. The staff, intimidated by Nadia, stayed silent. Aisha was alone, trapped. The realization filled Karim with cold fury. This was more than betrayal, it was war. He vowed to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The next day, Karim played the part of the devoted husband, his face calm and composed. But inside, he was on high alert. Every movement, every word from Nadia was under his silent scrutiny. He watched her closely, determined to uncover the truth behind the growing tension in their home. At breakfast, he noticed Nadia offer Aisha a pancake, her smile stretched a little too wide, her eyes cold and calculating. Then, as soon as Karim looked away, she shot Aisha a sharp, warning glare, a silent threat that only her stepdaughter could understand. Aisha barely touched her food, her small hands trembling as she pushed her breakfast around her plate, her appetite lost to fear. The happy family act was a lie, a fragile mask barely hiding the tension simmering beneath the surface. Karim's suspicions grew as he watched Nadia misplace Aisha's homework, slipping the papers out of sight when she thought no one was watching. This made Aisha look careless and irresponsible at school, further isolating her from her teachers and classmates. Nadia whispered to the staff, her voice dripping with false concern. "Aisha is so clumsy lately. I worry about her," planting seeds of doubt in everyone's minds. It was a calculated campaign to isolate Aisha, to make her feel alone and unwanted in her own home. Nadia painted her as a problem child, someone to be pitied or avoided, never truly loved. Desperate for answers, Karim spoke privately with Maria, the longtime housekeeper who had seen the family's secrets unfold over the years. At first, Maria was hesitant, her eyes darting nervously, hands fidgeting as she weighed the risk of speaking out, but Kareem gently reassured her, promising she could speak freely and that he would protect her from any consequences. With tears in her eyes, Maria finally confessed, her voice trembling with emotion. She had seen Nadia lock Aisha in her room for hours at a time, punishing her for the smallest mistakes. She had overheard Nadia say cruel, unforgivable things about Aisha's late mother, words meant to wound and break the young girl's spirit. The abuse was systematic, not just emotional but psychological, a relentless campaign to destroy Aisha's confidence and sense of safety. The staff was too afraid to speak up. Nadia ruled the household with fear, her authority absolute and unquestioned. Kareem thanked Maria, his heart heavy with guilt and sorrow for not seeing the truth sooner. Now he finally saw the full, horrifying scope of Nadia's cruelty, and the pain his daughter had endured in silence. His daughter was living a nightmare, trapped in a home that should have been her sanctuary. Kareem knew he couldn't confront Nadia yet. He needed undeniable proof, something that would expose her lies and protect Aisha for good. The time for action had come. He steeled himself, determined to gather the evidence he needed, no matter the cost. Kareem vowed he would not fail Aisha again. He would fight for his daughter, and this time he would make things right. That evening, Kareem set his plan in motion. He told Nadia he had a late-night video conference, then retrieved a tiny spy camera from his security team. Tonight, it would save his daughter. He crept to Aisha's room and hid the camera inside a stuffed giraffe, its eye capturing the whole room. Back in his office, he watched the live feed on his tablet. For a while, nothing happened. Aisha read quietly in bed. Then Nadia entered, her voice falsely sweet. "Still awake, darling? Your father is disappointed in your school report." Kareem clenched his fists as Nadia belittled Aisha for 10 minutes, calling her stupid and ungrateful, threatening to send her away. Aisha curled up, silent and afraid. The camera captured every cruel word, every flicker of fear. Kareem now had his proof, undeniable and damning. The evidence was horrifying, but it was the weapon he needed. Nadia's reign of terror would end. Kareem's resolve hardened. He would bring the truth to light. His daughter would be safe. The next morning, Kareem called his lawyer, brother, and the entire household staff to the living room. Nadia, oblivious, came down for breakfast, but Kareem's cold demeanor unsettled her. As everyone gathered, Kareem addressed them. "For the past year, a great injustice has happened within these walls. I have been blind but no longer." He turned on the television and played the hidden camera footage. Nadia's cruel words echoed through the room. The staff gasped. Kareem's brother stood, furious. Nadia's face went pale as her mask shattered. She tried to speak, but the evidence was undeniable. The video showed her threatening Aisha, calling her worthless. When it ended, silence fell. All eyes were on Nadia. There was nowhere left for her to hide. The truth was out. Kareem's family and staff saw the real Nadia. Justice was about to be served. The nightmare was ending. Kareem's voice broke the heavy silence that had settled over the room. His words were cold and final. "Get out!" The tension was palpable, echoing through the grand halls of the mansion. Nadia stammered, her voice trembling as she tried to explain herself, desperation in her eyes. But Kareem was unmoved, his face set in stone. He cut her off sharply. "I said get out of my house, now!" There was no room for negotiation, no hint of forgiveness. Without another word, his lawyer stepped forward, handing Nadia a thick envelope. Divorce papers, along with a restraining order. The legal documents were a clear sign that this chapter of her life was ending, and there would be no turning back. 2 security guards entered the foyer, their presence unmistakable. They stood ready to escort Nadia out, ensuring there would be no further confrontation or drama. Nadia's world crumbled in that moment. The realization hit her hard. Everything she had known was over. The opulence around her now felt cold and empty. Kareem turned to the assembled staff, his voice softer but resolute. "I apologize for creating an environment of fear. That ends today," he declared, making it clear that things would change from this moment forward. "This house will be a place of safety and respect, especially for my daughter," he continued, glancing up the staircase where Aisha watched, her eyes wide with hope and uncertainty. He turned to Maria, the housekeeper, and thanked her sincerely for her courage in speaking up. Her bravery had helped bring the truth to light, and he wanted her to know she was valued. Relief washed over the staff. For the first time in a long while, they felt safe. The reign of fear and uncertainty was finally over, replaced by a sense of hope. As Nadia was escorted out through the grand entrance, Kareem watched with a heavy heart. He felt only sadness, not anger, at how things had come to this. Alone in the vast, dimly lit room, Kareem reflected on his choices. He realized he had allowed darkness into his home, blinded by ambition and pride. The money, the mansion, the power, none of it mattered if his daughter wasn't safe and happy. The emptiness of his wealth became painfully clear. He knew he had made a terrible mistake, but now, with resolve in his heart, he was determined to make things right for Aisha and for everyone under his roof. His business empire, once his sole focus, no longer held the same importance. Family would come first from now on. Upstairs, Aisha waited, her small hands gripping the banister, hope flickering in her eyes as she watched her father. Karim knelt beside her, embracing her tightly. He vowed to protect her, always, and to never let fear enter their home again. As sunlight streamed into the mansion, the atmosphere shifted. The house felt lighter, filled with a sense of peace and new beginnings. Justice had finally been served, and a brighter future awaited them all. Karim walked up the grand staircase, the house finally peaceful. He found Aisha clutching her teddy bear, eyes wide with uncertainty. He sat beside her, voice trembling. "I am so sorry, I should have seen what was happening, I failed you." He gently placed his hand on hers. "Nadia is gone. She will never hurt you again, I promise." For the first time he saw relief in Aisha's eyes. She hugged him, tears of relief streaming down her face. Karim held her tight, overwhelmed by love. In that moment, he felt richer than ever before. This was true wealth. He promised to always be there, to listen, to protect her heart. Being a father wasn't about money, it was about love and presence. The moral was clear: true wealth is measured by love and the lengths you'll go to protect your family. It's about showing up. It's about making your home a sanctuary. It's about love. And finally, Karim understood what mattered most.
What's something people don't know about stories? They never truly end. There's always a new adventure waiting for you. Just pick your next tale and I'll meet you there. Subscribe to the Story Circle and let me know which story I should tell next in the comments.